Welcome, folks, to another MaliceCast TV Talk Thursday night edition. We are, of course, going to be recapping Supernatural. Tonight's episode was called A Most Holy Man. You know, if we remember last episode, there was the whole impossible ingredients that they needed to find for the spell, and this is one of them. I'm ICZorro, hosting as usual, and with me, as always, the lovely and talented Superwhovian freak. How you doing, Super?
It's been a day, but it'll get better. It got better. So
well, watching Supernatural tends to help, at least if it's a decent episode. And I felt like this was a pretty decent episode. It wasn't a whole lot of plot progression, but it was real. Oh. It was kind of fun to watch.
It was fun to watch. It was a throwback. I'm going to say this again. I wish they had shot this in black and white. Yes. Maybe started in color, gone to the black and white, gone for that gritty. You had the music, you had the camera angles, you had the shots.
The music was fantastic.
The music killed it. That end scene with the gunfire and the gunshot out with I don't know what it was, the Requiem music that was playing, that was phenomenal. I mean, this show does music so well, but to sell it without classic rock.
I loved all there was a lot of like muted cornet and a lot of, smoky 50s jazz kind of. It was such a film noir classic style episode. I thought that was great.
Totally should have been shot in black and white.
Yeah, I could see that. That would have been rad. The only thing that disappointed me a little bit was that for some reason I was under the impression that this was going to be the Scooby-Doo episode.
I know. Well, they've been promoting it all day on freaking Twitter, like you would have thought, because that's why I was confused. Because Meth said, he sent that message of like, "Hey, we're going to be showing the reruns of Supernatural Talk." So I was like, "Oh, does that mean the Scooby-Doo's next week and it's not tonight?" And then,
oh yeah, that was, I believe, just like when you watch a bunch of reruns before getting to the new one.
I know. But then I should have known that Scooby-Doo wasn't tonight, because Misha literally posted a tweet today that was like, "I just finished my voice work for Scooby-Doo."
Okay.
And my brain should have gone like, "Oh, next week is the episode." Because how can you finish something and then air it tonight, Right.
The picture that I saw of Ackles wearing the cravat, the Fred cravat. Holy shit.
I know.
Can't wait for that.
That is so funny. Jensen, they all kill me. They are all ridiculous.
I finally saw the video from the con that you were talking about of Jensen singing with the lead singer of Slipknot as well.
Was that not fantastic?
Holy crap, dude.
Yeah. Dude.
I want to go see him play live.
Killed. I mean, and he did a song even right before that, The Whipping Post, where Jensen sang just The Whipping Post by himself. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You can't ask for a better two.
I would be willing to go pay to see him play with a band live.
I would too.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's not a rock star. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, I know you're modest, I know you're humble, but own up to it. Like, own up to it at this point.
Absolutely.
If you're good enough to sing on the stage with Corey Taylor, I always mess up his name, Corey Taylor from Slipknot. Whatever the lead singer from Slipknot is, some horrible with names. If you're good enough to perform with that dude in Vegas, you are a rock star. I don't care.
Yeah, that was solid. So, what was your favorite part of the episode overall?
For just sheer lighting scene, when they were playing that Requiem during the gunfight was awesome. But for just sheer hilariousness when Sam is searching that hotel room and he's just being all snarky with himself, because we all do it, we all deny it, but we're all Dean and then gets knocked the F out. And then the afterwards though, when they're walking out of the hotel room, he's like, "Dude, you're taking a lot of hits to the head lately, and I know your princess hair protects you somewhat." And he's trying to check him like a little mothering hand, and he's just like, no, stop it.
The Disney princess hair gives you some padding. That was a great line. I gotta say, I think it's a combination of the two, and both of them involve Dean being very frustrated, but for different reasons. The first one is when they're talking to the redhead. I can't remember her name, but when that chick is clearly into Sam and not at all into Dean, and he just seems a little confused and kind of pissed off by it. But then the main one, when Sam asks him what he would do if baby got stolen. And I wrote down the whole friggin' line because it was just the delivery from Ackles was fantastic. Murder.
Yes.
I'd murder them all. And Sam says some other stuff. Ackles or Dean totally ignores it and follows it up with, "There'd be torture first, like a lot of torture, and then it would end up with death." It was so good. Ackles kills me. Anyway,
Yes.
so as I mentioned briefly earlier, the boys are starting to get into looking for all the ingredients for the spell so they can get to, Hell World and save their mom and Jack. They briefly mentioned that Cass is off in Syria. He's looking for fruit from the Tree of Life. I can't remember the Seal of Solomon. They still don't really have anything on it. Lucifer, they don't know that Gabriel's back, so they think Lucifer's the only way they can get Archangel Grace.
I don't think anyone knows that. Oh well, they're going to find out. They're going to find out. I bet you that's why Ketch comes back. So remember, he showed Ketch that Gabriel was back, and Ketch is supposedly their guy on the inside now. So yeah. I'm wondering if he's going to find out what they're looking for and just be like, "I've got something,"
Yeah.
Like, trust me, I trust you. Quid pro quo. I give you Gabriel, you give me.
Did they ever officially agree to work with Ketch?
No, but they're gonna.
Yeah, of course they have to.
He's. I'm not saying he's the new Crowley, but he could replace that role of Crowley, the friendly bad guy.
Yeah.
He reluctantly, I work with you, bad guy, in the beginning, like they did. Because I think towards the end, whether or not they want to admit it, Crowley was their friend.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I kind of, absolutely he was. And, Rowena picked up some of that as well. And they, for good guys, they make a lot of compromises. That's sort of addressed in this episode, too, when they're talking with the priest later. However, the one thing that they really have a possible line on is the blood of a most holy man. And they figure, and I kind of would too, that the best way to go about that is to find the blood of a saint. Who else would be, could you easily find that's deemed holy? But of course, the problem is when you're looking for religious relics online, 99% of that is probably just fake crap to sell tourists. But they seem to have, Sam seems to have ferreted out one lady that seems legit. Man, he's good with computers.
Yeah, he really is. It's kind of ridiculous. He should have been I don't know. He should have been something. I think he was wasted on being a lawyer. He should have done something with computers. I wonder how much Charlie taught him when Charlie was still around.
True. Oh, Charlie. Yeah. So they go. Let's see here. Oh yeah, found the religious relic site. The first great Dean line of the night. The internet, not just for porn anymore.
That is such a Dean line.
So yeah, they go meet this lady who seems to be a I don't think respectable is the right word, but a legit religious relic dealer. And like I said, she is clearly very into Sam just right from the get-go. And what did you think about the scene where she's like walking her fingers across the table?
So weird. I mean, I got what she was doing, but it was weird. And he was weirded out by it. You could see it on his face. He was just like, but he rolled with it because he knew he could use it to an advantage. But it was nice to see someone hit on Sam for a change. They haven't done that for a while.
It happens every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You would think it would happen more, in all honesty.
He's a giant, and he's a very pretty man. But next to Ackles, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Just have to have like that specific type, I guess. Yeah. So the lady tells them that she doesn't have any blood of a holy man or saint's blood, but she knows a guy who might, and warns them even before they go, like, this guy's not exactly on the level, so be careful.
Yeah, she gave them everything they needed to not do what they did, and then they did what they did anyways. Like, he's not on the level, he lies. So
he's just kind of a creep. Just the way he was eating those donuts, I was like, ugh, gross me out. So yeah, they go to see Richard Greenstreet. introduced by just shoving a powder-coated jelly donut in his face. And yeah, he's a real pretentious douche. He tells them, well, he's smart. Figures right off the bat that they're not who they say they are.
It wasn't really. They didn't really sell it that well.
No, not at all.
I mean, what was it they called him? You come in here and you're. What did he say? Burlington Coat Factory, or he
no,
it
was like not Neiman Marcus, but something along those lines.
Yeah.
And your cheap ties. Yeah. And come on, how did they not figure out immediately that he was asking them a BS question? The Mansion twins, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody asks you, "Oh, you're from there. Do you know these people?" You always say, "No."
Nope. Come off as bored and aloof.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, he figures out that they're lying and starts to use the word chicanery way too much. Figures that they're down for sneaky business and maybe they can help him out. The character was oily.
He was a slime ball.
Yeah.
He was meant to be a slime ball, and he played it well. Whoever that actor is, he played it well. But you had to know. I mean, come on, it was written all over his face that he was lying.
Of course.
When he's like, "You're going to give me the blood of
Saint Ignatius."
Saint Ignatius, and it's like, yeah, sure, we knew that. And I'm like, dude, he is totally just throwing a name out there because you have no clue what you're looking for. So you need to know what you're looking for, so when you know when the other person's going to squirrel you.
Yeah, and so the deal that he makes them is that they go get the skull that was stolen at the very beginning of the episode, which is supposedly the skull of Saint Peter. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't Peter the first pope?
Peter was the first pope, yes.
Like the square, that the pope stands above on the balcony is St. Peter's Square.
Yes, it is. He was the first pope. And he was also, which was ironic because when you read the Bible, he was also the one that denied, I believe he was the one that denied Christ 3 times, right? You will deny me 3 times before the crow of the rooster. Mm-hmm. And I believe that was Peter.
Yeah.
It wasn't Paul, it was Peter.
No. Yeah. You would think that the skull of the first pope would be a little better guarded. It was just in some side room at a convent or a nunnery or wherever, monastery, just inside a little glass case with no alarm or anything. Couldn't have been that important to the community. Anyway, so the deal is he gets that skull back for the guy, for Green Street, or as Beacon says, more like Easy Street, which of course brings me to The Walking Dead, and that song's going to be stuck in my head now. Great. And Jack Malice says that yes, Peter was the first pope and the father of the Catholic Church. Yeah,
right.
You would think that skull would be a little better guarded.
A little bit better guarded. A little bit. Smidgen. That even if he really is, the skull of St. Peter, I mean, you could pick any skull from any grave and say, this is, Bob Marley, and we shall honor Bob Marley. Just stick some threads on it and you'll sell it,
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they make the deal to go get the skull back. And they go to a coffee shop to do some research because good Wi-Fi. And then we see, Dean feeling a little rebuffed from the redheaded chick. Figures, hey, I'm gonna hug, hit on someone too. Now, tell me if I'm wrong here. The girl at the coffee shop was reading a book called Guarded by Demons. Was that a supernatural book? Like is that one of the books that Chuck wrote?
I was wondering that too. I didn't get a good look at the page, but it did look like one of the earlier books by Carver Edlund. Because I think that's why he was like, "Oh, you're into supernatural." But then I thought he said you're into the supernatural. Yeah. So I was like, "Oh man, I need to go back and rewatch that scene because if it was, I can understand why he was just like, I need to sit down because if I got a story for you, because he doesn't even need to. I mean, he could pretend to be a fan of the books and just go with it,
Mm-hmm.
I missed that though. That's what I missed Charlie for, because she was the one that constantly was bringing those books back up and making them uncomfortable with it. So
I'm just glad the blonde girl's gone.
Becky,
Yeah.
you know what? Like, I didn't love her character. Don't get me wrong. I know she was written to be that way. That's fine. But you didn't need to do what you did with her character to write her out of the show. You did not need to turn her in. And I get it, you know, the love spell, it's a funny scenario. You put your crush under the love spell, whatever. But then they took it too far when she tied him down to the bed and she was going to, you know what I mean? Like,
Maybe
that was
just her thing.
it could have been, but you know, it was too far. They took it too far in that case, and it wasn't funny anymore.
And then weirdly had her dating Chuck later.
I know. Well, no, I think it flip-flopped. I don't remember the sequence of events, but because I thought that was her final episode when they wrote her out. They got the annulment, and then I thought she was done after that.
I thought her final episode was when she broke up with God.
That could be.
The balls on that chick, breaking up with God. Not that she knew, of course. So Sam, being the computer whiz that he is, and using his fantastic, logical detective hacking skills, figures out that there's only 5 people that flew from Malta to Seattle, and gosh, wouldn't you know, one of them's a straight up Italian dude who just got in, and let's go check him out because apparently he also hacked into the Department of Homeland Security website to figure out what hotel the guy was staying at. What?
Right. Yeah, he really did learn some tricks.
Yeah, being a lawyer would have been a waste.
Would have been completely a waste.
And I mean, we're always wondering, I guess not always wondering, they sort of explained it in the first season, but like, where do they come up with money to get all this stuff? I don't think Sam was probably just hacking the crap out of everyone's accounts.
Hacking, I'm assuming, I don't know, maybe Charlie hacked accounts and put a big, huge nest egg into, maybe Bobby had something, because I know they had money from when Bobby died, but who knows how much money that fool had.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I know that's how they paid that hacker after Charlie died. They paid that hacker Frank or whatever his name was. Oh, no. They found Charlie after that guy. You remember the paranoid guy from season 7 who made Dean talk in code?
Yes.
You know, like, I am the Eggman. And, you know, I miss that guy. That guy was crazy, but he was funny. But yeah, they paid him supposedly like $20,000 to hack Dick Roman. So it's like, where the hell did they get that money from?
Mm-hmm. Jack points out they get their money via credit card fraud, which, as I said, was briefly mentioned in the first season. And I guess we're just supposed to believe that's how they do it all the time. Which works.
Credit card fraud and hustle and pool, I guess.
Yep, Paul Newman and Tom Cruise out there on the road. So they go to Antonio Mile's hotel to confront him, try to see if he's got the skull. And they walk in, and wouldn't you know it, dude's dead. Room's ransacked, and then they kind of get surprised from behind by a guy who briefly pulls out a Cracker Jack badge. That thing wasn't even partly convincing, and Dean kind of calls that out too. I think he says something along the lines of like, looks like you got it at a dollar store. But yeah, the guy just throws some handcuffs at them, tells them to handcuff themselves to the radiator, and walks out. I mean, he searches the room a little bit more, but he walks out like, haha, cuffed him. That'll keep him there. Like, man, this guy's really smug. Do you not know that? Yeah, do you not know how fast these guys are going to get out of those things?
Well, clearly he didn't learn his lesson from that one time. Remember the guy that chewed his hand off or cut his, I don't even know what he did. I can't remember if he chewed it or, I mean, obviously I don't think he did because you can't chew through bone, but he did something to like rip his hand off of the handcuff and then supposedly killed Charlie with one hand, because that's a believable storyline. Don't get me started on that. We'll be here for the next hour.
Mest would like to point out that there are definitely hidden treasures at the 99-cent store. So
there can be juices, candy, dollar chips.
So the guy leaves the room smugly, and Sam immediately just reaches into his coat to pull out some handcuff keys. And Dean looks really impressed. Like this wouldn't be common. Like I kind of thought they carried lockpicks and various keys on them all the time. But Dean specifically points out, he says, "You're like a Boy Scout, always prepared." And Sam says, "You're like I don't know what you're like." Just trying to come up with some metaphor for something that's not always prepared.
I know. That's not Boy Scout, right?
Yeah.
It's super obvious.
So yeah, they escape from the handcuffs and they head back down to the hotel, through the hotel, because that guy was clearly going to call the cops to try to trap them in the room there. But as they come around the corner to find Baby, the mob boss who originally had the skull stolen is there, or his henchmen are there waiting for the boys. I don't know. I think he said something along the lines of like, I always keep my enemies watched. But like, wow, good tale.
Yeah. Bad sense of observation to not realize you were being tailed.
They're tailed through like half this episode, and they don't ever seem to pick up on it.
Nope.
I thought they were better than that. So the guy decides that he's going to drive Baby. And I thought that was a dumb move. Like, if you're kidnapping a couple of people, don't get in the front seat while they're in the back seat. That's dumb.
I know. Why would you do that? Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, and he get by himself too. There's like 3 or 4 guys with him, and he gets in the car with them alone. But apparently, it worked out because they show up to the Seattle mob boss's house with no problems.
I know, and Mess says he loves him some good tail.
Well, you try to notice when it's behind you. Wait, phrasing. Okay.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, the guy that played the mob boss. I can't remember.
Seen him before?
I've seen him in a bunch of different places. I can't remember any of them specifically, but it seems like that dude always plays either a mobster or a cop.
Right. Well, he plays it well, so maybe he's typecasted, but that's okay. Who played the priest? Who played the Italian father? Because I know I've seen that guy before somewhere.
I don't think I've ever seen him before.
He had that face.
He was good though. I liked that actor. He was
good.
Solid. So yeah, the mob boss Scarpati sits them down, and the introduction to him, he's sitting in a chair stroking a Persian cat like friggin' Dr. Claw. I was like, oh, okay, so Bond villain? Yeah, if your introduction is creepily stroking a cat while people are escorted into the room, you're a bad guy.
Yes, most definitely, you are a bad guy.
And Dean was just really pushing his buttons in this scene. Did you know? I mean, what was up with that?
Pushing Sam's buttons?
No, pushing Scarpati's buttons.
Oh, I know. I don't know. Maybe he was hoping to get him to react so they could get the upper hand, like drive him to craziness to make a mistake, that kind of thing. That could have been what he was going for. Or maybe he just really wanted to be shot in the stomach. I mean, like
he was snarking at him hard.
He was.
He's like, so if you boys get my skull back from your skull, really? Like, dude.
Do you really get to call it your, or the line I like was, I saw this and I wanted to give it a home, and and it was taken from the home, and he's like, do you really get to say that though when you stole it from the home? Like, it had a home and you took it. Like, so do you, and then Sam giving him that face like, dude,
what are you doing?
Like,
yeah, that was pretty fun. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to earn the guy's respect or something, which worked the first time. I think the second line was a little bit much. So again, they get offered a deal to find the skull for somebody in return for a method of getting holy man's blood, and they take it because why wouldn't you at that point? Speaking of that guy playing the same role over and over again, Mess said, hell, I'd play the same role over and over and over again if I got paid to do it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. You can make your own fun with the role. And then he says the best cat stroker is from Inspector Gadget, Claw.
Yeah, that's the very first one I called out, Dr. Claw.
Yeah, but you got to throw in Dr. Evil, I think, as well.
Who is based on Blofeld from the Bond movies. Yeah.
Yes.
Next time, Gadget. Next time. I've always done a pretty good Dr. Claw impression, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's see here. Yeah, they take the deal from Scarpati. They're now working for like 3 different people in order to find the skull. And they still really don't have a good idea where it might be. So they go back to the hotel where Antonio Mille was killed because Dean says, I got a feeling the answer's in that room.
You got a feeling. You can feel it.
Yeah, I know you pointed that out earlier. That's why I said it like that.
So funny. Just the way he said it. That I don't think that was Sam right there. I think that was Jared. That was Jared coming through annoyed with Jensen. Like, oh, really, Dean? Do you feel it? You can feel it.
And Jack made a funny comment that I don't think I'm allowed to repeat on here. Folks, if you're watching this on YouTube or on a rerun, this is why it's good to be here for the live stuff. The chat room is usually pretty lively, and they say stuff that we can't quite get away with live without an explicit tag. So, and in fact, if you want to watch more of our stuff, subscribe to this channel on Twitch. If you're here already, you probably have. If you have Amazon Prime, you can do a Twitch Prime membership for free, which really helps us out, helps us keep these things going. We do all this for free for your entertainment and our own amusement as well. But keeping the site up costs a little bit of money. So that definitely helps us out. And in fact, if you have Amazon Prime anyway, which I think most people should at this point.
Most people should. I mean, it is expensive, but it's worth it.
You recoup the cost of the membership in like your first 4 or 5 shipments just with the free shipping. But on our homepage, malice-corp.com, we have links at the bottom of every article to various Amazon products. There's Amazon links on the page. Click on that, go to Amazon through our site, and that'll help us out a little bit as well. You're going to Amazon anyway. Might as well help us. Again, they're trying to get the skull back for like the 3rd person. They go back to the hotel, and there's a cop guarding the door because apparently police tape's not enough. I want to know why the cops think that was such an important crime scene. Somebody had to be stationed there, or maybe they were just still there from actually discovering it.
That could be.
But Dean pulls the old, you know what? Let's hit the fire alarms, and that should get everybody out, right?
And it did, to be fair. It did work. It's nice to see him go back to the old school sometimes. I kind of miss from the first season. They were talking about this at the convention the other day. Instead of just dressing up like the feds, like they used to actually put thought into their personas. They went as priests. They went as guidance counselors. They went as firemen one time when they snuck in to get their dad from Azazel. And then that's when you found out Dean really wanted to be a fireman growing up. And which do you blame him? His mom died in a house fire. And
absolutely. Well,
I mean, when you're a kid, you don't understand the whole supernatural thing. You're just thinking, I want to save people from their moms dying in a house fire, and so I kind of miss that a little bit. Like it's cool with the FBI's. I mean, they did it kind of in Tombstone when they went as Texas Rangers.
Yeah,
so that was fun. Cool. But again, that was basically just a suit with a cowboy hat, and Jensen busting out his Texas accent, which was fantastic.
And a bolo tie, I think.
And a bolo tie, which that's fine. He can wear that all the time, but it's nice to hear the Southern come out a little bit. And it should, because I mean, they're from Kansas. That's not too much of a difference. You could let the Southern out a little bit more, I think, than he does with Dean.
Yeah. Kansas doesn't have quite the upper Midwestern flat vowels.
No, it doesn't.
It's not like you're in Fargo or something way up there in the north.
No, definitely not.
Basically South Canada, like where I'm from.
Yeah, you get that though. You get that from Donna, and you get that a little bit from Jody, from Kim Rhodes, who I love Kim Rhodes. She is hilarious. You got to watch it.
Follow.
If you have never watched those two do a panel together, you need to watch those two do a panel together because they are hilarious.
Nice.
Absolutely. And if language bothers you, then it's not the panel for you. But
speaking of those two, I think I saw something earlier today. Today is International Women's Day, so happy that, by the way.
Yes.
And I think there was a comment that I saw on Twitter where somebody was saying, CW, probably the best way to celebrate International Women's Day would be to just go ahead and pick up Wayward Sisters.
It would be. It would be. And I'm really surprised, to be honest, with the ratings that it had from the backdoor pilot and everything, why it hasn't been picked up yet, at least for a trial season, maybe not a full season right away, but at least for a 10, 13 pilot, I mean, you ran with the mayor, and I like Lea Michele. I don't think she's the best actress. I love her in Broadway. I love her in singing. She can just sing everything, and that would be fine by me. But you ran with her show for 13 seasons, and it was not good. 13 episodes, excuse me.
I was going to say, not 13 seasons.
And I'm talking about the mayor, not Glee. Because Glee at least started off kind of charming, and then it went to...
Yeah.
But I'm talking about her show, The Mayor, and it was just...
Yeah.
So if you could
Did that get canceled already? I was intrigued by the concept.
It should be if it's not. So...
Jack would like to point out that on International Women's Day, we all know what happens to Deadpool, or at least Wade Wilson. And Mest would like me to point out, I forgot to mention when I was talking about our website earlier, malice-corp.com, that there's all kinds of articles and nerdy writing stuff there. That is, it's our home. It's what started this whole thing in the first place. And tomorrow there should be a new review for Netflix's A Futile and Stupid Gesture, by one of our up-and-coming newer contributors, Masonic Vader. Yeah, Deadpool. I actually just watched that like 2 nights ago again. I love that movie. I can't wait for the second one. So he pulls the fire alarm. Sam gets in there, and man, he doesn't find exactly what they need pretty quickly. And they picked up a little bit of a tale earlier in the episode, and that guy shows up and clocks him from behind with a telephone, takes the slip of paper.
Not just a telephone, but was it an antique telephone?
It was definitely a rotary phone.
It was what hotel in America freaking has a rotary phone just chilling?
Yeah.
No. They are those little plastic pieces of crap that feel like you're getting hit by a plastic piece of crap. I mean,
a wiffle ball bat.
A wiffle ball bat. Yeah, that is not enough to knock out someone like a Jared Padalecki.
No.
But you suddenly, so was he carrying that in his briefcase? Does he travel with the rotary phone just to knock people out in hotel rooms?
I saw a cord attached to it, so I think it was probably, I don't know, that hotel, the feel of it sort of had like an old, noir vibe in the first place.
You could roll with it. You could say it was like an antique. It was part of the charm, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, in all honesty, it was pretty out there as a plot point to just suddenly pick up this rotary phone and clock someone with it.
Your camera is bouncing a lot, by the way.
No, I think that's me, dude.
No, it's the whole frame is going up and down.
Oh, that could be because I'm hitting my desk. Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, Sam gets knocked out, comes back to, Dean comes in, finds him, so comes back pretty quickly. There we go, all better. And they go down and around the corner, and gosh, if the guy that knocked Sam out didn't immediately get knocked out himself, because he had a tail as well. Fake cop from earlier. I'm surprised Fake Cop didn't have a tail.
I know, the way the episode was going.
Just a string of people in trench coats following each other in a circle. That would be hilarious. So yeah, they wake that dude up, and one of your favorite lines, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, the Disney princess hair gave him some padding to protect him from getting knocked out. But yeah, Sam's been taking a lot of dome shots lately.
Yeah, he has. Do people just not like his head? Oh. But yeah, he did, because Donatello got him last week. And, and I'm just going to point out for last week, for all you people complaining on Twitter that Cass went too far in how he dealt with Donatello. Let's point out 3 things. 1, the guy had no soul. Probably shouldn't have been wandering around the streets anyways. Number 1, locked up in jail, whatever.
Sure.
Number 2, he legitimately tried to kill both of the Winchesters by knocking Sam out and also by putting whatever that weird breathing spell was on Dean. Number 3, because I apparently have no life, I went and researched the start of the spell that he started to say when Castiel was in the room and he put his hand over his mouth. That was an incineration spell to burn people up from the inside, right? So, which Cass obviously knew, which is why he covered up his mouth, wouldn't let him complete the spell. So all of you all can suck it.
Well, I got to figure that if the soul is the essence of who a person is, and the soul is what ends up either in heaven and hell, then Donatello was already gone.
He was already gone.
All Cass did was kill a shell.
Kill a shell, or brain dead a shell, because technically he's still alive on machines, which is cruel in my opinion. It would have been more kind to just kill him. Outright. But
you did have to strip all that info out.
Well, it's the same idea of Soulless Sam. When Dean wanted to kill Soulless Sam because he's like, dude, this isn't my brother. It's that same idea. So was Dean wrong for wanting to kill the shell? No. So all of you Twitter haters can just skip. All right.
So they get the guy that got knocked out in the alley, the guy that knocked Sam out, and they take him back into the hotel and start talking to him. And it turns out he's a priest. And I immediately thought, oh, okay, episode title. They're going to go through a whole rigmarole, and it turns out this priest is going to be a really good dude, and they're going to get his blood, which ding, 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 of course.
I know.
Yeah.
That was really funny. Little bit of a telegraphed ending, but it still was pretty funny. No. What was the line? Oh, we're not there yet. We'll get there.
But he's sitting there talking to them about how the skull was, a huge part of his community, and he's basically he's like a really good dude. He spent a lot of time doing good works around the world, and he collected basically all the money they had in his village, which turns out to be what, $643,002. Pretty weird.
Poor little guy. That was probably all their money too.
Right, man. That skull was important to them. Hey, we can't eat or anything, but at least we got a hunk of bone.
It really made no sense. But his speech delivered it like this thing that what was it he said? The thing that you learn to pray to before you could even really form words.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I don't care what you're talking about. I mean, the sense of faith, whether you have faith or don't have faith, that's not what's up for debate. Some people do have faith.
Sure.
And that came through in this scene. The just utter, this is what we believe in, this is what we believe in, and what is going to save our village, or what gives our village the faith to survive in really crappy circumstances. Like he sold it. I was really impressed with that, and he needs to do more things. I
wrote down earlier in the episode when Dean and Sam had just agreed to Green Street's deal. Sam's like, really, we're going to steal the skull now? And Dean says, hey, man, the world's not perfect. I'm not perfect, so we're just going to do whatever we have to do. And the priest here sort of rips that argument to shreds without even knowing that he was arguing with what Dean said earlier. He just says, you wrote it down in our previous chat earlier. I can't remember exactly what it was. Let's see if I can find it.
Oh, wait. Was it the...
Yeah. Let's see here.
I wrote it down here. If good men do good things, the world would be a better place, and every day can get better.
Yeah. Which, fantastic. And I think it was right about that point where I was like, oh, they're going to need his blood. Yeah. So Sam really wants to help the priest at this point. He says, what are you going to do now? Just go back home? And the priest is like, yeah. Without the skull? Yeah. And Sam was, no. So what if we get it back for you? Can we talk over here for a second?
I know. Sam totally bought into it. But Sam's always had more faith between the two of them. He was the one that believed in angels before angels came around. And I get why Dean didn't believe in them. Like, when you find out what his mom's last words to him were, And, now he's got no faith whatsoever. And I'm cracking up in the chat room because they're talking about turtle power.
And Adam Sandler bits.
And Adam Sandler bits, and that is absolutely hilarious.
I love that, the joined a cult one. The nighttime is the right time. Hey, well, you wanted a haircut, you got a haircut.
And even Sam, with all that they've been through, everything he's known about angels and God and Lucifer and all of that, and he still has faith in something, or he still wants to have other people keep their faith. Like, he could have completely disillusioned the guy. He could have told him, hey, you know what? We know God. Yeah. And God fled the world with his sister because they needed him.
Yeah, that's a conversation that they have a little bit later with Dean in the car. Like, I was thinking that same thing. I was like, he basically says, hey, trust me, pal, God doesn't care about you, about me, about any of us. He could have said literally what you were just saying. Yeah, we know the dude. He's gone.
He is. I mean, he's there, but he's not there.
Right. He gives no shits. He started the machine, and now he's just, kind of over it. I miss Rob Benedict on the show, though. I wish he would come back a little bit.
I freaking love Rob Benedict. That man is amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. I probably didn't mention this. I actually got to talk with them because they were signing autographs with this band for Loudon Swain, and we were part of the last group to go through because I think we were going in to do Misha's panel, and I knew we weren't going to be late for it because Loudon Swain is what introduces all the acts to go up, and so we were coming up to the end, and someone had this really creepy lifelike baby that looked like it was just possessed by every evil in the world. It was the creepiest thing. And they passed it to the drummer for Loudon Swain. He's like, dude, I don't want this. So he chucks it, and it ends up in Rob Benedict's lap, and he's just like, what is this? What is going on? And he touches it, and it his finger depressed into the baby's skull, and so the guitar player picked it up and tried to hand it to me, and I was like, dude, I don't want that. And then he just gave it to me. So I picked it up and I tried to pass it to someone else. And I felt like we were playing the worst game of hot potato. Like, whoever ended up with the baby, their soul was going to get eaten.
Absolutely. Murdered in your sleep and tortured forever.
Exactly. But he was hilarious. I mean, he was just cracking jokes, and he just had the face like the, it was great.
Speaking of tortured forever, maybe my favorite line, I mean, I think I said this at the beginning of the episode, but in order to convince Dean of why he wants to help the guy, he goes, I kind of feel for him. Like, this huge important thing, for him and his village went missing. What would you do if somebody stole the Impala? And God, Ackles just killed it. Murder. There would be murder.
And that, again, not acting. That is legit Jensen. He is so possessive of that car. He won't let Sam Smith, Mary, drive it anymore because Mary was going to drive it for one episode in the scene, and she had the car in the wrong gear, and she went to go drive forward, and she drove it back, and she backed it into something. Oof. And Jensen was just like, nope, we're done. You're done. I'm taking over.
Mest believes that both of those bands are playing at Coachella, both Baby Trucker and Depressed Skull.
I think you're right.
I think Depressed Skull, I think we already have that band. It's called The Smiths.
I think so. And if we don't, we need that because that's an awesome band name for an emo rock.
Yes. So yeah, they're riding around with the priest, and they figure they really got no leads. The priest didn't see who hit him. They don't know that it's fake cop, and even if they did, they wouldn't know where to find him. But luckily, the priest apparently has a friggin' photographic memory because he remembers every. Yeah, he apparently remembers every alphanumeric character of that code that was on the paper, and it just happens to be a package tracking number.
Because of course it is.
Of course. We talked about it a little bit earlier. This was very much a film noir episode, like clues falling into place at the right time, and just a huge cast of characters. The object of desire, the MacGuffin constantly switching hands, always just out of reach. I loved it. So they go. Well, actually, they don't go to find the package. The fake cop goes to get the package because he's the one with the tracking slip, and they pull up there and follow fake cop to the meetup site. Turns out fake cop has been working for the redheaded chick the whole time. And as soon as she refused to give him a raise when they were walking into the warehouse, I was like, oh, things are not going to go well for her. So, yeah, they meet with Scarpati, the mob boss. They meet with Green Street, the slimy donut eater. And she's got the skull there to broker a deal. And Sam walks in with the small suitcase full of all the money from that Italian village. In order to try and make a bid on the skull. I thought she had a pretty poor auction strategy there. Everybody write down a number, and whoever has the highest one gets it. Isn't the whole point of bidding that the price is going to be higher and higher and higher?
Up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing maybe if you're meeting with like 15 people, they're all loaded, the bids are going to come in high, like a silent auction. All right, that's one thing. But when you got 2, maybe 3 people, because Sam kind of worms his way in the auction, which was all charm. He had like no money.
It was so cute. $643,002. And of course, Scarpati's
is a lot of money. That's a lot of money for us.
Yeah, but for the skull of the first ever pope, that thing should be worth 10-15 million, no problem. And Scarpati bids 2 million, and Green Street bids 0. Because he's not playing around with this. He offers to pay $1 million to fake cop if he kills the redhead. And man, boy, does he take him up on that quick.
Yeah, he did. And then that's what started the shootout, right?
Yes, epic shootout. Great, Italian aria kind of thing going in the back.
Totally awesome.
Yeah.
And even did it seem like it was shot in slow-mo, like a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
Like not enough to be super obvious, but just.
I definitely got sort of a face-off, like John Woo vibe, slightly slow motion. I kind of expected white doves to be flying by.
A little bit, yeah.
Somebody should have been double gunning.
But they did a really good job. I don't know if it was maybe a little bit too much, but there were a few people that got shot in the chest and stuff. You could actually almost see the blood.
The blood spurted, and that was definitely in slow-mo, yeah.
That was awesome. I mean, I've never been shot before. I've never seen anyone shot before, so I don't know if the blood actually does that. But the fact that they emphasized it, I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Mess says, well, hey, if you kill the redhead, at least you don't have to worry about taking their soul. And your silent auction value is always $42? Is that a straight-up Hitchhiker's reference? Or?
Yes, that was a very, very much a straight Hitchhiker's reference, and I was hoping people would get that.
Very nice. Maybe my favorite book of all time.
Yes.
I've got a ratty, dog-eared copy of it upstairs.
I have a hard copy, hardback. So.
Nice. So, massive shootout, and basically the only person that survives is, the priest kind of gets grazed, but the only person that really survives is Green Street, and man, that dude's a weasel. Just.
That was actually probably my favorite line of the night when he's just like, oh, it was just a little bit of chicanery. Was that the line?
Chicanery, yeah.
Chicanery.
Exactly.
Yes, and then chicanery this. Boom.
Yeah.
Just straight up knocked him. And
I like the way he agreed with the use of the word chicanery, like that was going to get him off the hook somehow.
I know. Well, because it worked before. I earlier in the scene, we didn't even mention, like, he said the word chicanery. And Dean kind of looks at Sam like, Sam was like, yeah. He's like, yeah. Like, come on. Like, Dean knew what that meant. Don't tell me. Dean is smart. He knows
Dean
what that
is not stupid. He just plays stupid on TV. So, let's see here. Get the gunfight. Green Street gets knocked out. They get the skull. They get the money back. Everybody else is dead. So Seattle doesn't have a mob boss anymore. I don't think there's going to be any fallout from that.
That's not.
But as they're getting ready to say goodbye to the priest, it turns out Sam did a bunch of research on the guy, and man, he got an award from the Pope for being a really, really good dude. Um, and he even says, yeah, the Pope called me blah, 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 whatever it was in Latin. They're like, what does that mean? He says, oh, he's a most holy man. Like,
You're like, oh,
duh.
geez, who didn't see that coming?
Yeah. So out of left field, who knew? Yeah, so they get some blood from him, and hey, they've got that very first ingredient in the 4 impossible to find things. It'd be funny if they just couldn't find anything else for the rest of the season.
Well, they might. I mean, I don't see the storyline wrapping up. I mean, maybe they can, but
Yeah.
I don't want to force it. Don't force it.
Right.
You know?
Well, and that spell has been described as being a one-way ticket for one person. So
I know. So who's gonna go? Is it gonna be Dean?
And then how would they get everybody back home? Like it's gonna.
Well, they'll have Jack. So Jack should open the door, but
at this point, Jack should be able to do that now anyway.
You would think. I mean, right now we'll see what that happens because right now he's with Bobby in the alternate. Oh God.
Yeah.
Mess said in the chat, Seattle always has a mob boss. His name is Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
And then Jack pipes in with not Kurt Cobain. Too soon?
Yeah. Too soon? No, because that happened in '93. I think we're good now.
To some people, it's always too soon.
Yeah.
When you make everyone's got that one. I have 2 personally. For me, it's Robin Williams.
Sure.
And the other one is Chick Hearn from the Lakers. It's really hard for me to make jokes about Chick Hearn.
Yeah, the Robin Williams one I get. That's just
and the Robin Williams ones. Those are the 2. Like I'll make jokes about Robin, but it still hurts,
Yeah. So they get the little cup of the priest's blood. And Dean and Sam just kind of sit down and talk about the futility of their whole friggin' lives and being hunters. And, every time they kill something, there's another one that's coming along the tracks. And is it even worth it? But then as viewers, we know that if they hadn't been around doing that, you end up with Hell World.
Exactly. And I think they know it too. I think it's something we all go through. The questioning, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Should we even bother? And then next week they'll be right back to it. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But of course, weirdly, at the end of this, I know we talked about sort of the opposite earlier. That priest must have had some kind of crazy effect on Dean because, Sam is like, "Do you think this is all going to work?" And Dean looks at the blood, looks back at Sam, and says, "You know what? I have faith."
Which for Dean to say that, that's a lot. That's not his character.
Yeah.
At all. He doesn't have, or he never says it. He may have belief that it'll get done, but it's more just blind bravado more than anything. But to say that he actually has faith that it's going to work out, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we end the episode. And what do you think is coming next week? Is it this Scooby-Doo episode?
I believe Scooby-Doo is next week, yeah. Otherwise, they are promoting the heck out of it when it's still far, far away.
Yeah. Let's see here. Season 13. The next episode is going to be... that's back there. Next one is Scooby Natural. And that is not... Oh, wait, no. That's not the next one. That one airs on the 29th of March, so that's episode 16.
Okay, so there is one in between?
Looks like... today is March 8th, and that one is not supposed to air until the 29th. So
unless we have another 2-week hiatus coming up, there's got to be another episode in between there.
Yeah. Well, the IMDb page is the dates are all wonky, so we'll see. If there is an episode, we will absolutely be here. If there's not, then we won't. But we will find that out and keep an eye out for tweets and Facebook posts and such from the two of us and from the other people that help run our fine website, Mestet, and Jack Malice and Beacon. They generally promote some promotional stuff before we actually do the casts. So, that all being said, do you have any final notes? Anything else you wanted to talk about with this episode?
It was good. It was good to move the plot along. It probably, if they had just done a few things differently, I think the episode would have knocked out of the park. I really think they should have shot in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think they could have done just a little bit more to sell the noir vibe just a little bit, because it was a good overall. But overall, I really need to find out who wrote this episode, because they did a really good job overall. And I think it was a good, solid move in getting the plot moving. Although I wish Cass had been there, but he was off. What was he searching for? The fruit of the tree of life?
In Syria.
In Syria? I guess that makes sense, because, you know,
this episode literally had no B story. There was just the one plot line.
And that was okay. That was okay.
It worked out.
But are we going to get to see some of Cass searching for the tree of life? I mean, is it just going to be like he just appears and is like,
hey guys, I got it.
Like, I found the apple, you know?
Yeah.
I found a banana. I found the only mango that grows in Syria. Like,
it's a quince.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to be really disappointed if that's how they play it. I mean, I'm not saying you need a whole episode of just Cass searching for it, but you should give me something. Give me something. Have Lucifer be there to foil him from getting the fruit. I don't know.
I do want to see more Cass and Lucy.
Yeah.
That was a fun buddy comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Quince. I know 7 foods that start with a letter Q, Billy. So we're going to be wrapping up. Like I said, come back and see us next Thursday, assuming there's an episode. Super, where can we find you on the tweets and such?
Yeah, find me on the Twitter, on the twits, as Misha calls it, the twits. I'm at Superwhovian Nut on Twitter, and I'll be there. I don't tweet as much during the week. Oh, that's not true. I tweet all the time during the week.
Yes, you do. I tagged you in something that I thought was cool, and then, of course, immediately after I did that, I scrolled down and saw that you had already liked it.
I know. And I think replied to it. You happened to catch me coming back from my break, and I was like, oh, look at that. There you go. So.
Myself, I am at ICZorro on both Twitter and Instagram. But for now, guys, carry on.
Peace.